Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to Unplugged. It's Danielle. I hope you're all having a good week. The energy in the world this week is nutty, like cuckoo bananas. I don't know how spiritual any of you are, if you believe in the energy of the stars, but the first week of August is always the Lionsgate portal. So lots of feelings of anxiety, lots of feelings of stress, lots of feelings of like you're drowning in your own to-do list. And so if that's where you're at this week, you're not alone and it's okay. And it's freaking hot. So if you're in Los Angeles, at least, it is freaking hot this week. So be patient with yourself. Be patient with others. And that's kind of what I wanted to share, what was on my heart this week. My episode with Allie from Tuesday, we talked about the experience of being human or having a human experience on Earth, which we all are. And if you're me, you believe that you've probably had many past lives, future lives, different timelines that you've existed in and on. And so we are talking about this human experience, the one that we are in now. And it's interesting because I've heard of so many people be like, oh my gosh, I don't know why everything is happening. Why is the world like this? And just talking about how awful everything is. And I want to kind of just give you perspective. What if, and stay with me here. What if you actually chose to be here at this time, in the evolution of Earth? What if this is when you chose to be here? So all of the work that you are doing was planned and something that you chose at some point, something to think about. I'm lighting a candle right now in my office. Anybody else out there, you need to have the mood right for things. If I'm recording a podcast, I really have to have something like my sense of smell activated, Maybe that's just me, but I must. Anyway, I don't know. I'm sure anybody listening out there who has never really thought about soul contracts or choosing when you were here, it being destiny that you're here at this time. Maybe you think I'm nuts. That's fine. You can think I'm nuts. It's just something that I believe, and I try to remind myself when I am feeling those feelings of stress and anxiety and feeling like there's no escape or everything feels hopeless. I try to remind myself that I chose this. I chose to be here. And there's a reason, and a very specific reason, why I am on the planet at this moment. Anyway, one of the things that Allie and I talked about in our episode was this idea of calling in versus calling out, right? And I really want to lean into that. We leaned into it in the episode a bit, but I want to lean into it here as well, because it's something I really do believe in. And I want to preface this by saying I did not always feel this way. I used to be a call out queen, and believed that you must think and feel and do the same things I do. Otherwise you are wrong, and I guess, okay, could I say I regret being like that? Sure. I don't necessarily regret it though, only because in order for me to realize that that was no way to exist, it had to be so, right? Because you can't learn a lesson unless you do it. So I'm not going to say that I regret ever being like that, because although I made mistakes and said things to people and passed judgment on people prematurely, I wouldn't have been able to learn the lesson had I not gone through it. So that's what I'll say about that. So if you are a call out person, somebody who likes to call out everybody for everything, whether it be the way that they pray or the way that who they sleep with, or, who they, choose to vote for, or, whether or not they choose to, I guess, like how they act with COVID, right? Like there's so many different things that we call people out for all the time. It could even just be the way that people show up on the internet, right? Like if it's not the way that you want it to, you call them out for it. And it may not even be a direct call out. People love calling people out with memes. Memes are the new way to call people out in 2021. And if that's you and you're listening to this and you're getting angry with me even bringing this up, I want you to hang out for a second. I want you to just sit in that for a minute, because I used to be you. And I used to, if anybody said that I would call me out on calling people out, I would be defensive immediately. And then I had my son, and I started a business in network marketing that I never thought I would start. And all of a sudden, I went from working with pretty much all people who thought and felt and believed everything I did. You know, working for SoulCycle is kind of like working in an echo chamber a little bit for a lot of people. And I started a business in network marketing, and I had my son, and all of a sudden I was meeting new people, and I knew that I really wanted to be the most beautiful example of empathy and compassion and love and listening for my child, because I know that someday he's going to be the generation of thought leaders, change makers, world shifters, right? And so I started being introduced to people that I thought I had very little in common with, and the first instinct is to judge. And this actually started for me a lot like it was with people who were held very strong religious beliefs in Christianity, because I don't. I believe in a higher power. I've talked about this. I definitely believe we are all connected to a similar light source. And, when the human experience is over, we are all love and light, and there is no divide. So when I started to be around a lot more Christians, I had a hard time with it at first. I judged and, made mistakes. And what I've come to realize is that if I spend less time calling people out and more time calling people in, and what that means is instead of just turning a cheek or a shoulder to someone you don't agree with, it's turning to face that person and say, let's have a conversation. I'm calling you in to a conversation. I'm calling you in to more love, more empathy, more compassion, radical listening. I am going to listen to everything coming out of your mouth, even if I don't agree with it. And I'm going to find common ground, and that's where we're going to grow from. That is where a friendship will be born. That is where we can work together to become better, right? And that's hard. It's easier said than done. And I'm sharing this with you because if you're out there and you are looking to incorporate this kind of growth into your spiritual practice, I cannot recommend it enough. It will change your life, and it will also change your relationships, and it will also change your anxiety levels, and it'll also change your stress levels, and it'll also change the way that you view the world, right? So calling people in, think about it. Do you call people out with memes on Instagram? Do you call people out with, just snarky comments on people's Instagram posts? Or, if somebody says something to you, do you just act snarky and then not have a conversation about it? If that's you, don't judge yourself, right? I'm not telling you to judge yourself. I'm not telling you that you are wrong. What I'm saying is, could you instead call people in? Hey, friend, I don't necessarily see eye to eye on this particular topic, right? Could we have a conversation about it? I'd love to know why you feel the way that you feel, right? I'd love to know what brought you to the conclusion that you have. Would that be something you'd be interested in, right? And if they say no, they say no. Because just because you're ready to grow in your healing does not mean somebody else is. And that's okay, because we are all on different timelines. But what I've come to find is like people, and I've come to find this because I've went through it, and I'm talking to myself here more than anything. If we call people out, that's usually just fear talking, fear of, like when it was me calling people out, it was really just, I was afraid of my darkness. I had not looked at myself and all the parts of myself and truly accepted and loved every part of myself. So fear ruled the way that I saw the world, the way that I interacted with others, fear of my darkness. And I think when we talk about a spiritual awakening, part of that is healing that trauma, healing those parts of yourself and really getting to know and love and accept all parts of us. Because if we're just sitting around calling people out all day, then that's basically pretending, or, we're under some delusion as humans that like our shit doesn't stink. And we know that's not true. Everybody's shit stinks. And if we haven't walked in someone else's shoes or been where someone else had been or learned or, grew up in the environment that somebody had grown up in, then we have no business telling them that they are wrong about the way that they feel. Could we have a conversation and maybe share ideas and, understand each other better? I freaking hope so. It's been working for me. And I get compliment. I call it a compliment. I get told a lot, Danielle, you are just such a person who loves everybody. You really do try to see the good in everybody. And I don't necessarily try to see the good in everybody as I try to see the truth in everybody. If I don't agree with you on something, I want to have a conversation about it. I want to find out where we do have commonality. Because if we can do that and we heal that darkness in ourselves and we are able to see the world from a more empathetic place, then that means we have a whole army of people behind us that are really also just doing their best. How amazing is that? I think when we put blanket statements over things, when it's one size fits all, that's where we really get into trouble. That's where we fail to really see the beautiful uniqueness that exists in every single human being. And I'm not interested in everybody thinking like me or doing like me or living their life like I do. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in knowing why you live the life you live, why you feel the things that you feel, why you act in the way that you act, why you choose or choose not to do something that I choose or choose not to do. I want to know. So my call to action for you today is when you are feeling that urge to call people out, recognize that trigger within yourself that has nothing to do with the other person, right? Recognize that trigger within yourself, get to know that darkness within you, heal from it, and then instead call people in for conversation, for love, for empathy, for radical listening. It really will change the world. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a, I'm not a metaphysicist. I'm not any of those things. What I am is human. And what I am is somebody who has put this to practice and has many, many relationships with many, many people who you would look at our relationship and say, that doesn't seem like a fit. And here we are existing and loving each other and respecting each other for our similarities and our differences. So give it a shot. I just want everybody out there to feel like you're not alone. You're not alone in this life. You're not alone in the way that you feel. It is so easy to get wrapped up in the triggers. It is so easy to get wrapped up in social media and what it's telling us and what, it's designed to keep us divided. It really is, because that makes people money. A divided body of humans is lucrative as fuck. I'm just not interested in funding that machine, I want real, genuine connections with other humans. And I know most of us do. So give it a shot. Call in instead of calling out. And I hope you have a beautiful day wherever you are. I love ya.